light, dim the streets in moonlight bright. We dissect the cinematic art, real by real we pull apart.
Hey there, film fans. Welcome back to Real Talk. I'm your host, Josh, here to guide you on yet another journey into the cinematic unknown, one reel at a time. Today, we're heading into uncharted waters, quite literally, with Robert Eggers' haunting and utterly unforgettable 2019 film, The Lighthouse. Now, let me set the stage a bit for you. Imagine this. You're stranded on a tiny rock in the middle of nowhere, waves crashing, wind howling, and your only company is a crusty old sea dog who won't stop spouting sailor jargon. Oh, and did I mention there's something off about this lighthouse? Well, that's where we're headed today. The Lighthouse is a film like no other. It's shot in stark black and white. It's claustrophobic and drenched in tension, and not just because of the constant rain. This is a story about isolation, madness, and the fine line between reality and hallucination. And let me tell you, this is not your average Friday night popcorn flick. This is a dive deep into the dark depths of psychological horror, with a side of maritime folklore. So here's what's coming up. I'll talk about what makes Lighthouse such a unique, mesmerizing piece of art. I'll unpack its atmosphere, the performances by Robert Pattinson and Willem Dafoe, and I'll let you know about my rating. But first, if you haven't seen the movie yet, don't worry, no major spoilers here. I'll keep it light on the details, but heavy on the reasons why you should absolutely add this to your watch list. And if you've already seen it, well, buckle up, because we're still going to explore its layers like a sailor peeling back on an onion. Grab yourself a cup of coffee, or if you're feeling particularly nautical, maybe some spiced rum, and let's hoist the sails as we dive into the stormy seas of the Lighthouse. Are you ready? Let's do this. Hey, need a boost without the crash? Head over to dubby.gg, that's dubby.gg, for all your energy drink needs. No sugar, no fillers, just clean focus and serious flavor. And here's the kicker. Use the code REALREAL, REALREEL, at checkout and score 10% off your order. That's REALREAL, one word, for 10% off at dubby.gg. Fuel up, stay sharp, keep it real. Looking for chills that crawl up your spine and reviews that cut deeper than a butcher's blade? Welcome to Real Talk Horror Edition, where classic slashers, indie creepers, and cult nightmares are dissected with a bloody passion. Whether you're into slow burns or splatterfests, we've got the guts, the gore, and the geek out. So dim the lights, press play, and let your darkest curiosities run wild. Real Talk Horror Edition, where horror lives and breathes. Real horror, real talk. Available anywhere you get your podcasts. All right, let's dive into the fascinating world behind the Lighthouse. Before we get lost in the fog of its eerie story, let's talk a bit about the nuts and bolts of this film. Why does it feel so unique, so hauntingly authentic, and just so different from anything else I've seen? That's what I'm going to explore here. Its creation, its roots in folklore and history, and the brilliance of the folks that brought it to life. So The Lighthouse came out in 2019, and it was directed by Robert Eggers. If that name rings a bell, it's probably because of The Witch, his breakout film that redefined period horror back in 2015, or his more recent remake of The Great Nosferatu. Eggers is the kind of filmmaker who builds entire worlds. It's his commitment to detail. It's so intense that you can almost smell the salt in the air or feel the grime under your fingernails watching his work. This time, Eggers takes us to a desolate New England island in the 1890s, where two lighthouse keepers, played by Willem Dafoe and Robert Pattinson, are tasked with maintaining a beacon amidst storms, isolation, and their own unraveling sanity. Dafoe plays Thomas Wake, the grizzled, salty old-timer who runs the lighthouse with an iron fist and a superstitious flair. Pattinson is Ephraim Winslow, the younger, quieter laborer with a mysterious past and a growing sense of unease. The film itself is truly a masterpiece of style and atmosphere. It's shot entirely in black and white, and not just for the aesthetic, but to echo the look and the feel of old photographs from that era. And the aspect ratio? It's a very tight, almost square frame that makes things feel more claustrophobic and traps us right there on the lonely rock with our actors. Every choice Eggers makes as a director is intentional, and it pulls us deeper into the world of these two men and their slow descent into madness. And there's something that really sets the Lighthouse apart, similar to what he did in The Witch, and that's the language. Eggers and his brother Max, who co-wrote the script, spent months researching journals, logs, and writings from actual 19th century sailors and lighthouse keepers. The dialogue is thick with old-timey phrases and maritime jargon that feels so authentic that you'll almost want to grab a dictionary or just pour yourself a stiff drink. The inspiration for the story itself comes both from real life and folklore. One of the main influences was the Smalls lighthouse tragedy, this chilling tale from 1801 where two lighthouse keepers were stranded together during a storm and, well, let's just say it didn't end well. Eggers also layered in elements of maritime mythology, monsters, mermaids, and curses, and it gives this film this almost mythical and dreamlike quality. But why did I pick The Lighthouse for this episode? Well, because it was such an experience. It was like stepping into a piece of living art that refused to let me look away. The tension, the surreal horror, the raw, almost animalistic performances from Dafoe and Pattinson, just the whole thing is very unforgettable. Plus, this film raises so many questions. How much of what we see is real? Who is telling the truth? Are we witnessing supernatural events? Or are we just watching two men lose their grip on reality? It's that rare kind of movie that leaves you thinking, maybe even feeling a little uneasy. Now, if you're someone who loves films that push boundaries and stick with you, then The Lighthouse absolutely deserves a spot on your watch list. Trust me, this is an experience you will not forget. Now for the breakdown. This is the time to step into the murky waters of The Lighthouse. This segment is all about unraveling the core of the film, without giving too much away. I'll try to give you a sense of the story's framework, explore what makes it so gripping, and shine a light on a few standout moments that make this movie truly unforgettable. So let me set the scene. Remote, storm-battered island with a lighthouse standing tall against the unforgiving elements. Two men, trapped together by duty and the ocean's wrath, descend into a psychological abyss. It's a slow burn, but once it ignites, it's a wildfire of tension and madness. But what's The Lighthouse all about? On the surface, it's a simple setup. Two lighthouse keepers, Thomas Wake, the grizzled old sea dog, and Ephraim Winslow, the brooding greenhorn. They're tasked with taking and maintaining this desolate lighthouse for 4 weeks. Their days filled with grueling labor, hauling coal, scrubbing floors, and battling the unforgiving weather. But the heart of the story isn't in their work, it's in their unraveling of their minds. The isolation, the relentless sound of crashing waves, and the ever-present foghorn create a pressure cooker for their psyches. The film leaves you constantly questioning, is the danger lurking outside the lighthouse? Or is it something more insidious, born from their fractured minds? As their stay stretches longer than expected, tensions mount. Winslow resents Wake's domineering nature and cryptic superstitions, while Wake views Winslow as insubordinate and suspicious. Their dynamic swings wildly between camaraderie and outright hostility, and watching their relationship fracture is both fascinating and deeply unsettling. Now, let's talk about the moments that really stick with you. The first one has to be Wake's monologue. No, scratch that. It's more like a verbal storm. At one point, after Winslow challenges him, Wake unleashes a torrent of words so vivid, so venomous, it's like watching Poseidon himself take over Dafoe's body. "Hark, Triton," he bellows, his eyes wild and fiery. He's cursing Winslow with such conviction that you almost feel that salt spray of the sea yourself. It's terrifying and mesmerizing, and it's the kind of performance that really sticks in your mind. And then there's the surreal imagery that's scattered really throughout the film, Egger's calling card, if you will. Winslow's visions are a fever dream of unsettling beauty. Mermaids with haunting cries, tentacles slithering where they shouldn't, and glimpses of Winslow's own face staring back at him like a fractured mirror. These moments work to blur the line between reality and madness, forcing us to question what's really happening. Is Winslow losing his grip, or is there something otherworldly at play on this godforsaken rock? And finally, the climax. Now, I won't spoil anything, but let me just say this. If you think this movie is intense in the first 90 minutes, the last 10 are a crescendo of insanity. It's bold, visceral, and unforgettable. The kind of ending that leaves you sitting in stunned silence as the credits roll. You won't forget it, not for a long time. I think what makes these moments shine isn't just the striking visuals or the performances, but how they tie into the film's larger themes. This is a story about power, guilt, and a human need for connection. It's about how isolation can warp us, how our minds can turn against us, and how we cling to the idea of control, even as the waves begin to crash all around us. Okay, so now let's dig into what makes The Lighthouse such a fascinating and unforgettable experience to me. In this segment, I'll talk about the movie's entertainment value, what it's like to watch, and why I think it sticks with you. I'm going to try to explore how the storytelling pulls us into the strange and stormy world, and I'll wrap it all up with my overall verdict. So let's top off your drink, hopefully not kerosene like our friends in the film, and let's talk about what makes this film so special. Well, let's start with a simple question. Is The Lighthouse fun to watch? Well, yes and no. It's not the kind of fun you'd have watching a lighthearted comedy or an action-packed blockbuster. Instead, it's this gripping kind of edge of your seat experience that leaves you breathless and just a little unsettled. Here's the thing about this movie, though. It demands your attention. This isn't a scroll your phone while you watch kind of film. The black and white cinematography, the unusual aspect ratio, and these guttural performances, they really pull you in and refuse to let you go. It's like staring into the beam of the lighthouse itself. Hypnotic, dazzling, and even a little terrifying. But what's really fun, though, is revisiting the movie. On a first watch, you're caught up in the chaos. You're trying to figure out what's real, what's imagined, and what's just pure myth. But on a second, or even third watch, you start noticing the subtle details. The way the camera lingers on an object. The nuances in Dafoe and Pattinson's performances, and even the recurring motifs of the sea and the light. It's like peeling back layers of an onion, except this onion is soaked in brine and madness. And then let's dive into the heart of the movie. It's storytelling. Because if you strip it down, The Lighthouse is a very simple tale. A survival story about two men just trying to do their job under extreme conditions. But Robert Eggers takes that simplicity and builds this intricate web of tension, mythology, and some amazing psychological complexity. The pacing is deliberate. Some might even call it slow. But I'd argue it's perfectly measured. Every scene is crafted to heighten the sense of unease. The long silences, the repetition of daily tasks, and the unpredictable bursts of conflict, they all serve to draw you into the men's fractured mental states. And then the characters. Willem Dafoe is a superstitious old sea dog, the kind of guy who's probably had more conversations with seagulls than with people. He plays Thomas Wake as gruff, domineering, and seemingly deep with an almost spiritual connection to the lighthouse. And then Robert Pattinson's Ephraim Winslow, a man with secrets, ambition, and a simmering resentment for his boss. Their relationship, it starts off tense, and it only escalates, culminating in some moments of just explosive conflict and almost eerie levels of intimacy. And then there are the themes. On one level, it's a story about power dynamics, who's in charge, who's subservient, and how that balance shifts. But on another level, it's about guilt and repression. Winslow is haunted by his past, and the isolation only brings those demons closer to the surface. But then there's the deeper, almost mythological layer. The film is steeped in so much symbolism. Prometheus stealing fire from the gods, sirens luring sailors to their doom, and the sea itself as a living, breathing entity. This is the kind of storytelling that invites interpretation, and no two viewers will walk away with the same conclusions. So what's the final word? I'll say this, and I've said it already. The Lighthouse is an experience. From the moment it begins, you're transported to another world. The roaring waves, the shrieking gulls, and the relentless wind. You almost feel that you're right there on that rock, losing your grip on reality right alongside Wake and Winslow. The performances are astonishing. Dafoe is magnetic, delivering dialogue that feels like it was ripped straight out of a Herman Melville novel. Pattinson, meanwhile, proves yet again that he is so much more than his Twilight roots. Together, they create a dynamic that's horrifying, but strangely captivating. And the technical aspects are equally impressive. The black and white cinematography doesn't just look cool, it adds to the claustrophobic and timeless feel of this film. The sound design, with that constant hum of the foghorn, really keeps you on the edge of your seat. And the score is haunting in all the right ways. So my verdict, The Lighthouse is extraordinary. It's not for everyone. I mean, if you're looking for something light or straightforward, this ain't it. But if you love films that'll challenge you, films that blur the line between art and entertainment, this is a must-watch. I'm giving it a 9 out of 10. It's brilliant. It's bold. And for me, it's absolutely unforgettable. Well, folks, that's a wrap on this dive into The Lighthouse. I really hope you enjoyed stepping into the foggy, eerie world of Robert Eggers' masterful tale of madness, isolation, and salty sea curses. Now, I have a feeling that at some point I'm going to do a really deep dive into all of Robert Eggers' films. But for now, if this film or this episode left you intrigued or a little unsettled, then my job here is done. But don't let the conversation end. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Did you find The Lighthouse as mesmerizingly strange as I did? Or maybe it left you scratching your head, wondering, what the heck did I just watch? Either way, let's talk about it. Hit me up on Instagram, Threads, or Blue Sky at RealRealTalk, or on X at RealRealTalkPod, or just email me, therealrealtalk@gmail.com. I'm always up for a good movie chat. And whether it's feedback, it's suggestions for future episodes, or even your own hot takes on films, I want to hear from you. Now, I know we've been swimming in some pretty heavy waters with this episode. The tension, the darkness, and the ominous foghorns. I get it. The film is intense. So for the next episode, I want to change course entirely. I want to go from psychological torment to comedic absurdity. That's right. Next time, we'll go back to 1980 and tackle Airplane, a film so packed with laughs, you'll need a second watch just to catch all the jokes. If you've ever wondered whether a grown man likes gladiator movies, or if it's possible to have a drinking problem without spilling your cup, this episode will be for you. But before I sign off, I just want to say thank you. Whether you're a longtime listener or this is your first time tuning in, I am so grateful to have you here on this cinematic journey with me. Your support, your comments, your enthusiasm for film means the world to me. And honestly, it's what keeps me watching, talking, and recording week after week. So until next time, keep watching, keep loving, and keep those reels rolling. We'll talk to you soon.
Underneath the sun's green, 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 talking reels and all their schemes, dusty scenes and dreams unfold, stories told in shadows bold, gritty plots and whispers tight, dim the streets and moonlight bright. We dissect the cinematic art, real by real we pull apart. The real talk where voices play with velvet words and starlit sway, reviewing tales both light and dark, classic films that leave a mark. Dive deep into celluloid night, critique the legends and